GBTC discount chart. Okay, that is now closed. But what you want to look at over the last 3 years is this. I don't want to fucking export the data. I want to view the full chart. Ugh. Can I just see a widescreen? Guess this is what it's going to be. The discount went as deep as 48%. What does that mean? It means at the end of 2022, the discount of the Grayscale GBTC shares to the price of the underlying Bitcoin, because they hold Bitcoin as in the underlying, was 48%. So what customers did was they would buy GBTC shares, which would give them a theoretical effective ownership of a certain amount of Bitcoin, which they could then redeem. But everybody got destroyed on the GBTC. There was a carry trade going on. Don't need to get into that. But everyone got destroyed on it. Most people got destroyed on it because it went from a premium, right, where in a bull market people were paying a premium to own GBTC. And then throughout 2021, it went into a discount. And then the discount got deeper and deeper and deeper. That meant that anyone that's buying this, anyone who's buying GBTC instead of Bitcoin itself, was losing extra money as the share value deviated even further from the underlying. So, to make it simple, at the very bottom here, in December 2022, your shares, if you own them, not if you're buying, but if you already own them, your GBTC, your Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares were worth 48% less than what was underlying. So if Bitcoin was at 16k, even if you redeemed, you weren't even getting anywhere near that. You were getting a vastly less than that. So there was no reason to sell. The only people selling there would be the people who are forced to sell. Now, since then, and Grayscale have been on this path for years to convert this trust into an ETF, which they have now successfully done. The reason this gap closed is it was one of the best trades of 2023. Because if you're at this point and you can buy Grayscale shares, GBTC shares, if you can buy shares for 48% discount and then hold, and if you're right that they get converted into an ETF, the discount's going to go to zero, which it practically has. And so not only do you own the underlying Bitcoin, which has gone up, but you also can now convert the shares at face value, basically 1 for 1. Whereas before you would have been taking a 50% haircut. So that trade was done in massive size by many people, and it was the best trade, easily the best trade of 2023, right? But Grayscale, or Digital Currency Group, DCG themselves, are one of the biggest holders of GBTC. So the parent company are a big holder. Multiple billions, 20, 30 billion worth of Bitcoin that they've been essentially stuck in because they can't sell at a discount. They've managed to engineer this move back to premium, back to neutral at least, as well as getting ETF. And so a lot of the volume you're seeing on the ETF on the Grayscale side is going to be essentially whales exiting. They're out. And it's not about whether they're bullish or bearish. They were underwater really bad for years. Because a lot of this would have been bought at a premium, right? There's people who bought both whales who were buying as well as Grayscale DCG themselves that were taking on shares in order to, whatever, prop the market up or take the other side of a trade. And so some of it was bought at a premium, some of it was held through a discount, and now it's got back. the simple answer is that there is a vast amount of selling pressure from the grayscale ETF. And so it's exit liquidity. And, people can cope all they want, but these big events that unlock billions and billions of dollars of liquidity are used by big players to exit their bags. That's just a fact. You can look at it and say, well, it's not at all-time high, so why would anyone sell? No, that's what you would do. That's you. And that's me as well. I won't sell because of all this. I'm just telling you what I think is happening. So the primary narrative is over. The ETF narrative is over. There's no new, stronger narrative. The grayscale ETF is predominantly being used, in my opinion, for the insiders with heavy bags to get out and dump on Wall Street boomers. Then you've also got CBOE margin futures. So again, this is so obvious. Here. The Chicago Board of Exchange, which is CBOE, basically a big TradFi exchange, brokerage, or not a brokerage, a big exchange. Okay? It's all that matters. Have launched Bitcoin and Ether margin futures. Remember, futures does not use the underlying. It's just paper. Doesn't have any effect on Bitcoin itself in a positive sense. There's no Bitcoin needs to be bought. No ETH needs to be bought. And this is backed by people like Jump Trading, who you do not want to trust in fucking anything. Jump engineered basically the entire Luna thing and fucked it up. And Jump are just straight up Wall Street sharks. And a bunch of others. And they've all launched this exchange. But what's interesting is they announced it on 13th of November and they said they were launching on January 11th. How did they know? Well, it's just a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence that they knew 2 months before that they would launch a futures exchange on the fucking same day as the ETF. Remember, up until 3 days ago, people were writing Twitter threads being like, when is it going to launch? I don't think it's going to launch. If it does launch, is it going to be Thursday? Maybe Thursday. Seems like these guys had a pretty good idea. I don't believe in coincidences like that. Not in the market. I think the smart people are always planned well ahead of time. It doesn't mean they're always right, but there's always a strategy behind it. And so why would they launch on that day? Because there's massive interest, hype, volume, and you can potentially get a lot of positions filled with minimal slippage. And it goes under the radar. People who are in the know that futures launches are not bullish. The reason we topped in 2017 was because of CME futures launch. The reason we topped in 2021 was because of Bitcoin futures ETF launch. Futures are not good. Because futures open up the possibility for Wall Street to naked short Bitcoin. They can just take billions of dollars if they want and just short the shit out of it and make it go down. And that will continue, that is okay to a point, right? It becomes a game of who has the deeper pockets. You cannot short Bitcoin because you don't have billions of dollars. And so any little uptick will squeeze you out and get you liquidated. I cannot force the market down, right? None of us individually can do anything with shorting. The only thing you can do is get short and ride along with other people. But if you have a big futures exchange and you essentially can just short naked, which means just go short, pile money in, more and more and more. That's selling pressure. And if there's not enough buying, not enough demand to overwhelm it, the market will go down. Now, eventually you have to close those shorts, which will then that will create a bottom, and that will make price go back up. But the idea, at least what I think, is that it's going to suppress price for a while. That can either be for bad or for good. Some people are like, oh, it's bad, they're trying to wreck the price of Bitcoin, manipulate, blah, blah. Or you could say, well, they're trying to keep price lower so they can accumulate more before the inevitable bull run. I'm in both camps. Both are probably true. The biggest thing with any of this is you don't get yourself wrapped up into why. It doesn't matter why. Just understand what happened. The reason they're launching margin futures is so that Wall Street can get short. That's it. It's because they need a counterparty for their shorts. So you launch futures, you give them margin, you sell it to retail. Retail want to go long because look, Bitcoin's up, hype, they'll buy every dip. And all the while, the people on the other side of the trade is literally a team of fucking sharks, backed by crypto and TradFi players. It's backed by a bunch of market makers and institutions. So do you think that Jump and all these other trading firms who've been in crypto for ages, do you think they're waiting until this? Just think, right, last bit of logic on this. Do you think all these TradFi players who definitely don't care about you, they want to make money, right? Do you think that they're launching this Bitcoin futures exchange on January 11th, 2024 so they can get long Bitcoin? Does it make sense? We already have 1 million futures exchanges in crypto. We already have CME futures in TradFi. We also have a Bitcoin futures ETF in TradFi. So there's no reason for that. They don't need to go long. So they must want to go short. That's the logic. Airtight. You can't argue with that. Question is, how big will it be? Well, if you want to keep track of it, type in CBOE margin futures Bitcoin and go.